Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy. Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode of Rippin' the Fence, we're going to be breaking down everything we saw from Phoenix. But before we hop into the video, just want to quickly remind you guys, hit that like button and subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it if you guys did that. Thank you guys so much for the support as always. But let's go ahead and hop into the video. Matthew, my friend and co-host, is joining me, and we got a lot to talk about with Phoenix. Especially for the Cup Series. It is the debut of this new short track package, so we'll be sure to get into all of that. But Matthew, very quickly, how are you doing before we go ahead and hop into this video?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Just finished up another weekend of racing. Saturday I watched Formula One Xfinity, and then today I watched IndyCar and the Cup Series. So a lot of motorsport going on this weekend. And yeah, let's get right into what happened in the Cup race.
Alright, so just quickly, I want to touch on the Xfinity race as well, since that did happen. Chandler Smith ended up winning that race. Shout out to him. He won in overtime. But what led to overtime was the leader, Justin Allgaier, blowing a tire with 5 laps to go going into turn 1. You see the smoke coming, and just the left rear tire just blew. Justin Allgaier can't catch a break. Tough break for him. But Chandler Smith would win in overtime over his teammate Sheldon Creed, Jesse Love, some other guys there at the end. And SVG ended up finishing 6th, so great run for him, especially since this is only his second, I guess, normal track, quote unquote. So good run for SVG. Good to see him get a top 10 finish. But onto the Cup Series, there was trouble early on lap 7. Derek Kraus got loose, and Austin Cindric and Austin Dillon, the two Austins, got involved. There was nowhere for them to go. Austin Dillon would be done for the day. I think Cindric might have been able to continue, but lost a few laps. Or it was the other way around. Sorry. I think Cindric was out and Austin Dillon continued, but had a lot of damage. The Toyotas, they were strong very early in the race. Denny Hamlin and Ty Gibbs were on the front row, and they jumped out to the lead pretty early. I think Ty Gibbs jumped out to the lead. He led most of stage 1, but Tyler Reddick ended up catching him later on in the stage and passing him. So Reddick would win the first stage. There were some slow pit stops after that caution for Ty Gibbs and Eric Jones. They would both lose some track position, and Kyle Larson had to come back down pit road. I believe they didn't get a tire on right or something. They had to come back down pit road. Tyler Reddick took the lead back from Denny Hamlin, and then Christopher Bell, he started a little bit back in the field. He slowly made his way to the front in stage 2 and ended up taking the lead away from Reddick with 5 to go, and he would win the second stage. And then chaos started coming in the third stage. Kyle Busch, he got loose and spun coming off of turn 2 down the backstretch. John Hunter Nemechek, he got into the back of Joey Logano and sent Logano spinning, and Logano was not happy apparently in his care center interview. Understandably so, but I mean, you could definitely tell. I mean, it didn't look intentional to me. John Hunter Nemechek just drove in the corner too hard and ran into the back of Logano, spun him out. Collected Corey LaJoie, Zane Smith, and Derek Kraus once again. And then on that restart, Denny Hamlin, he was trying to pass his car that he owns, Tyler Reddick. He slid up the track, got loose, and Denny ended up spinning out. And after this caution is where some strategy started to come into play, because some drivers pitted at the previous caution, like Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain, Mike McDowell, Chase Briscoe, and other drivers. They pitted the caution before that, and then everybody else pitted on this caution. So drivers like Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, they all pitted under this caution. So it flipped the field. So we had those drivers I mentioned first, like Buescher, Chastain, McDowell, Briscoe, and all of them. They were at the front of the field, and then all the Toyotas who had been strong all day, they were back in the field, and they had to climb their way to the front. Gibbs, he took 2 tires on that sequence with all the other Toyotas, so he was a little bit ahead of them. But Christopher Bell restarted 20th on that restart, and it was about 90 to go or so, I believe. And Martin Truex Jr., he stayed out, even though he couldn't make it to the end on fuel or tires. He was trying to hope for some more cautions to happen. So I forget how many laps to go, but Martin Truex Jr. ended up having a pit with, I think it was like 20 or 30 laps to go. And by that point, Christopher Bell had already made his way all the way back up to second. He passed Ty Gibbs, and then from there it was the Christopher Bell show. He ended up taking off and winning the race. So let me quickly go over the results. Uh, Christopher Bell first. We got some RFK cars in the top five here. Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski. Great comeback for them after their not so good week last weekend in Vegas. Ty Gibbs third. That is back-to-back top fives for him. So very strong start to the season for Ty Gibbs. We got Martin Truex Jr. seventh. He pitted, like I said, he pitted during green flag stops from the lead and went a lap down all the way to 22nd spot. He fell and he came all the way back to seventh in about like 30 laps. So that proved how much the tires were wearing and how much fresh tires meant. So him all the way coming back to seventh, very impressive. Michael McDowell eighth. I believe that's back-to-back top tens for Michael McDowell. So very good start to the season for him, at least on these intermediate style racetracks. And then we got Chase Briscoe and Tyler Reddick rounding out the top 10. So let me quickly talk about their race winner, Christopher Bell. And I don't know, a few people are saying this might be a breakout year for him. He's been very good the past few seasons. Made it the championship for last year, obviously at Phoenix, and he had that brake rotor failure. I believe that's what it was. That ended his championship hopes pretty early in that race. So for him to come back to Phoenix and get some redemption and get the win here, so there's a lot of strength in that number 20 car, and I think he could easily go back to Phoenix in the fall and be a contender for the championship. And like I said, it could be a breakout year for him. I think this could be the driver that has 3, 4, 5, 6 wins, as long as his pit crew doesn't have any mistakes. It seems like the Toyotas, they had a lot of trouble on pit road today, so if they can clean some of that stuff up, I think Christopher Bell could easily have a breakout year and win several races and be kind of like William Byron last year, potentially. Also, I want to talk about Legacy Motor Club, specifically Eric Jones. It seemed like he had a lot more speed this week. Last week I was very harsh on Legacy Motor Club because it didn't seem like either of those cars had speed when the other Toyotas did. But it looks like Eric Jones had some speed today. He qualified up front. He was running in the top five for most of the race. That pit strategy whole thing at the end kind of dropped him back in the field a little bit, but I want to shout out Legacy Motor Club and specifically Eric Jones. They did run a lot better this week. The Hendrick cars, they were pretty much nowhere to be seen all day, which was very surprising considering William Byron and Kyle Larson ran up front in this race last year. But the Hendrick cars, they just did not have the speed today. Chase Elliott and William Byron, they were in the back half of the top 10 for most of the day. I know Chase and Byron were in the top 5 a little bit, but they were pretty much in the back half of the top 10. And then that pit strategy sequence kind of had them be at the back of the pack, and they just could not drive through the field, so they finished I think all the Hendrick cars finished outside the top 10. Yeah, not one Hendrick car finished in the top 10, which if you told me going into this race would happen, I would not believe you that would happen, unless, cautions and people, they all got taken out. But Hendrick cars just did not have the speed today. And then Noah Gragson, he had another good run, finishing just outside the top 10. So good for him. Very strong start to the season for Noah. And then finally, just want to quickly talk about this whole short track package because there was a lot of speculation going into this race, a lot of optimism from the media and all of that. And then even on Twitter, Jeff Gluck, he interviewed a lot of drivers. So after practice, a lot of the drivers were feeling that they didn't feel a difference with the car. William Byron, he interviewed. Denny Hamlin, he interviewed. Denny Hamlin said it was a little bit better in traffic. Daniel Suarez said that the car is bad in traffic. I know Tyler Reddick on Fox Sports 1 said that it almost felt worse. But that was all just after practice. That wasn't after the race. So I'm very interested to see what a lot of the drivers say after the race. And Denny Hamlin on his podcast, Action is Detrimental, I'm interested to see what he has to say about this package. Obviously, I can't say too much because I'm not driving the race car and I don't know what it feels like. But it did look promising. It looked like the drivers could pass a little bit easier. Looked like the tires were wearing a lot more. Like Martin Truex Jr., when he pitted under green and went a lap down, he drove all the way back up to 7th. So looked like the tires did matter, but I don't think we have a big enough sample size just yet to see how this package really works. But we do have a lot of short tracks coming up. We got Bristol next week. We got Richmond. I think Richmond might be the week right after that, and then Martinsville might be the week right after that, or Coda might be in there somewhere. I don't know, but we got three short tracks coming up
Uh,
in the next few weeks. So,
Brit- so Bristol won't be using this package, but Coda, and then Richmond, and then Martinsville they will.
well, there we go. There's the information right there from the guy who has all of the other knowledge that I don't have. So, thank you for that. But yeah,
No
we're gonna have
problem.
a lot of these tracks coming up where this package is gonna be used, and we're gonna be able to tell over those next few races how well the package is, and if obviously they're gonna have to keep making tweaks to make it better. But for this season, we're gonna have to see how well the short track package is. So I thought it was solid. I didn't think it was the best thing in the world. Still not anything close to what it was back before we had this next gen car with the Gen 6 car, especially towards the end of the Gen 6 era. But progress is being made. I like to see that. I like to see that we're moving in the right direction. So hopefully we can continue to do that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to say about the race. Matthew, what do you have to say about what you saw from Phoenix today?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to say congrats to Christopher Bell winning his first race of the season. Toyota's first win this season. This car was very good today. He had arguably the best car today, or at least one of the best cars today with Tyler Reddick. He also was fast today. Denny Hamlin was. Ty Gibbs. It was pretty much a Toyota day. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. I believe there was only one person that led laps today that wasn't a Toyota, and that was Todd Gilliland, which that was during green flag pit stops. But other than him, everyone else that led today were Toyotas. So dominant day for them. Christopher Bell getting some redemption after having his brakes fail in the championship race last year. Then in 2022, when he was in the Final Four, he had a bad pit stop at the end. So if he gets back to a third year in a row, I think this 20 team is going to be a car to look out for. Now that they won today, that helps the confidence a lot. So I think we're going to see some big things out of Christopher Bell this season. So congrats to him. RFK, both of their cars top five, which is great to see after the first three races of the season were kind of a struggle for them. So glad the rebound and Ty Gibbs. This is back-to-back top fives, I think, for him. I think it's back-to-back top fives for him. Martin Truex Jr., who finishes seventh after having to make a green flag pit stop from the lead, who then got called a lap down, drove up to the front, got his lap back, and then drove all the way around to get back to seventh, which that's insane. How big of a difference these tires made, which I'll get into in a little bit. I just want to shout out to Noah Gragson for the second week in a row. I know he didn't get a top 10 like he did last week, but this kid has impressed us so far the beginning of this season. Besides Atlanta, he has he has two top 10s, and he could have gotten another top 10 today, but that strategy kind of messed him up a little bit. But still, great run for him once again. Okay, now let's get on to the race itself. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was, really boring. But I didn't think it was that good either. I think it was just okay. I think this was just an okay race, which is pretty much what Phoenix is. The definition of mid when it comes to racetracks. Um, and then of course it debuted this new short track package. In my opinion, I think this is a one step forward. I think this is better than last year's package. I mean, it's not a huge leap. Like, it's still a little bit tough to pass. But I felt like, though, there were a lot of comers and goers throughout this race. You saw cars moving up to the front like Christopher Bell, who literally restarted like 20th, I think, and climbed all the way up to the win. So I don't want to hear, oh, they can't pass. So they were able. There were certain cars that were able to pass, and there were certain cars that were falling back. And like I said, I think this package. So this is only one race, so I don't want to automatically say, "Oh, this package was a success," or "This package was a dud, a failure." We still got more tracks coming up where this package will be used, except for Bristol next week, which I don't quite understand why they can't use this package. It's a short track. Maybe it's because it has higher banks. I don't know. That doesn't really make sense to me, but that's a conversation for another day. Um, so, just based off this one race, I thought it was okay. That's just my opinion. I think it's a little bit better than last year's, but I think there's still some work that needs to be done with it. So, just another little step to the right direction when it comes to that. But, anyways, congrats to Christopher Bell. Amazing win for him. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like Phoenix at all. Like, why do we have this the championship race? And why? Well, it's because of one simple reason. It's because how nice the facility is. I've heard a lot of people that have been to this track just say how amazing the facilities are and the experience there. The on track product may not be the best, but the facilities are top notch and it's pretty much like Daytona basically. I've been to Daytona a few times already and it's pretty much the best experience I've ever been at a racetrack, in my opinion. Um, and I think Phoenix is in that same tier as Daytona when it comes to nice facilities, nice experience as a fan. Um, so that's really why they have this race as a championship race, which I wish they would do more of these upgrades to other tracks. Like I wish Homestead got this upgrade, or Martinsville got this upgrade, or Talladega gets this upgrade. Like they haven't done one of these renovations literally since Phoenix, like six, like 5, 6 years ago. It seems like, and I just feel like I wish more of these tracks, NASCAR SMI track, would get more of these renovations. So if if you want Homestead back as a championship race, I'm afraid it's going to have to get the same type of renovation like Phoenix did or Daytona did to get that date back. But yeah, um, just an okay race. Congrats to Bell, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
I just thought of this like as a suggestion for the final race of the season. Honestly, I think it would be a good idea for them to do it in Charlotte. Honestly, just because like it's NASCAR's backyard, it's the team's backyard. The track has put on pretty decent racing in the Coke 600 the past few years. So if you just get rid of the Roval, bring the oval back and slide that to the final race, I think that'd be a good idea. But who knows? Just my suggestion. But my low 2 cents. But we're gonna go ahead and rate the race and do our favorite paint scheme from the race as well. So for me, for rating the race, I'm gonna give it a 5.5, but I'm gonna keep this scale. I'm gonna try to keep this consistent throughout the season. So I'm gonna try my best to like keep 5 as mid, I guess, as the saying goes. And oh, by the way, when Kevin Harvick said, I forgot what he said in the beginning of the broadcast. He said something live. He said some like young and hip term. I forgot what it was. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it was so funny. I couldn't believe he said that live on air. But anyways, I'm gonna try and keep this scale pretty consistent throughout the season. So I'm gonna keep 5 like as a okay race. So I'm gonna give it a 5.5, just a little bit better than just an okay race. And then my paint scheme of the race, I'm actually going to go with Ross Chastain's Kubota car, the orange and black car. I love the orange and the black on it, and then the chrome orange number. As you guys probably already know by now, Matthew and I are suckers for chrome numbers, so the way the orange number just glows. I like the way they use the silver Kubota logo on the door. So very overall nice paint scheme. So Yep, that's it for me. Matthew, what are you going to rate the race? And then we'll share our favorite paint scheme.
So for me, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Normally, 5 and 6 are around that okay to average, mid level when it comes to these ratings. Like I said, I thought it was okay. Um, but on another thing I forgot to point out, I also love how the Goodyear tires, they wore out a lot in this race, and tires really mattered, which that's one thing I did love about today. And I hope they Goodyear continues to make more tires like that, especially for these short tracks and road courses. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. And then as for my favorite paint scheme of this race, I of course I gotta go with this one, Kyle Larson's Valvoline paint scheme. I have a thing when it comes to Valvoline paint schemes; they are very nostalgic to me. I love the Valvoline paint schemes for over the years, from Cale Yarborough to I remember I first started watching NASCAR. It was Scott Riggs in that car. Uh, Richard Petty's cars had this schemes. Matt Kenseth had this scheme, and then of course Hendrick Motorsports picked it up, and they've been bangers. So that's my paint scheme to race right there.
All right, I think that's honestly it for the video. I don't think there was too much off-track news this week, but this upcoming next weekend is going to be Bristol, back on the concrete. So I know Matthew is a very strong hater of that. He would prefer if they went back on the dirt, but I'm willing to just see what it's like. Probably not going to be the biggest turnout of fans just because it's that spring race and it's
Can I
been.
close out on that thought real quick? Can that be my closing thought? Because look, I don't understand. Look, I'm not one of these people. I don't understand the hype around this race. Look, in my opinion, Bristol Dirt was a great idea. It helped get more people in, which, if you looked at back at photos back in like 2019, 2018, when it was still concrete, there was no one there. Let's just be real. No one was there. And then they introduced the dirt where there were more people there and the ratings went up. Now you take that away and it's back to what it was before. And with this next gen car too, that the racing's not good, especially since you're not using a new package there for some odd reason. I don't know why. I just don't understand the benefit from doing this. I feel like this is kind of a waste. Look, most of the people are going to go to Bristol for the night race, the playoff race. That's always been the more popular Bristol race. So in my opinion, I don't know why we're doing this second Bristol race if we're not doing Bristol Dirt again anymore. So in my opinion, they need to take away that Spring Bristol Day and put something new there, which I would prefer because I've been a strong believer that we should not have a lot any more of these 2 day races, especially just that's just my opinion. So I'm not really looking forward to this coming weekend because I just know the racing's not gonna be good and that the fan turnout's not gonna be good, and it's probably gonna rain there because trust me, I've been to those spring Bristol races for a few years back in the day, and almost every time I went to the spring race it rained. So I'm not really looking forward to this weekend.
There is Matthew's rant of the week. Um, but yeah, I get where he's coming from. The fan turnout has not been the best there, and Bristol Dirt was fun, unique, interesting, put on great racing the past few years. The first one was kind of up and down. It wasn't the best because it was the first one, but the past 2 years, 2022, 2023, I thought they were both pretty good races. But yeah, I would have liked to see him keep doing it or try something new. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with the schedule after this season, what they're going to do with Bristol. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next video.